Do you feel you were born for more? Get ready to uncover your God-given purpose so you can impact the world with your gifts, your talents, and your story.
Welcome to the Purpose Power Summit. I'm your host, Mimika Cooney. Today we're talking about a topic about living intentionally. Now, no matter what's happening in the world and the circumstances we are living in, it doesn't necessarily have to dictate our future. Today we are talking to Elizabeth Enlow, who's an international speaker, author, and encourager at heart. She and her husband, Johnny Enlow, are co-founders of Restore 7 Ministry, which globally serves influencers in every area of society. They enjoy working as a team to awaken, equip, and mentor social reformers and display God's love and solutions in every nation in all areas of culture. The 7 areas are media, arts and entertainment, government, family, religion, economy, and education. Elizabeth's current focus is projects including an app called Rise, which serves as a connecting point for the global community of reformers. So welcome, Elizabeth. So delighted to chat to you today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's always great to connect with you. And we had you on the Mimika TV podcast. So if anyone's interested in the longer story of how Elizabeth got started and all of this, definitely look that up. But today we're going to dive into this topic, which I think is really relevant, especially because I really value your and your husband's insights, especially as prophetic insights, and you deal with seeing how things work in society. And we are definitely in a shift. So talk to us a little bit about this whole concept about living intentionally and what you feel it means for us going forward.
Well, this is a core value of mine personally. And, on any given day, you can be so pulled in so many different directions. And I love to feel successful. And I think God loves for us to feel successful. He wants to set us up to be successful. And that looks different for everybody. But I think there's a common goal that we can all have that points us in the right direction. And I call it living intentionally, but it's a longer statement that I can give to you.
Yeah, sure. So explain to us what that actually means for you.
All right, awesome. So the statement is this, and then I'll break it down and explain it. But the statement is this: I live to know the real God, to make the real Him known, to learn to love and be loved. And those are 4 distinct things that I think are actually very scriptural. If you're a Christian, then you should be able to relate to that. In particular, there is a verse that is kind of the inspiration behind that, and it's Habakkuk 2:14. The knowledge of the glory of God will fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. I'm a person that's really all about context. I love to understand my part in the bigger context. I love when I'm in a conversation with someone, I want to understand the context of which they're speaking to me from, etc. And so I feel like that verse gives us the context of where all of this is headed. And if God says that where this is headed is eventually everyone in the earth is going to have access to the knowledge of God. The way I would say that is the knowledge of who He is, what He's like. And of course, we all have the choice what kind of relationship we want to have or not have with God. But I believe that scripture makes it clear to us where this, kind of the end game of all of this. So if that's the end game for us collectively as society, that we would know who God is, what He's like, and what His intentions are towards us, that He's good, He's kind, He's loving, He cares, He has solutions for each of these 7 areas of culture, then all the more reason I want to make sure that my personal life is headed in that direction as well. So in any given day, any given moment, I ask myself, if I'm feeling kind of lost, and pulled in directions and like I'm not really accomplishing anything, I ask myself, okay, does it fit into one of those 4 things? Am I living right now to either know the real Him or to make the real Him known? Or am I learning how to be loved right now? Or am I learning how to love someone else? And I find that whatever you're doing, no matter how amazing and awesome it is, how impacting it is for a lot of people, or how hidden and mundane what you're doing is, if you can connect it to one of those four things, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I am being successful. And I can break those down a little more for you, but I'll let you jump in.
Yes. So basically how I see it is that no matter where we are right now, like, so for a lot of us parents who are now homeschooling our kids, especially our elementary school kids who maybe didn't originally sign up for this, are finding that even inside their four walls right now, they are being challenged with new sets of skills they have to develop and a new routine in the house. And, more patience is required. Like if this isn't your thing, and it just requires a shift in thinking, right? So, and I think that's what I feel like you meaning is that in being intentional wherever we are at. So whether you are used to being a speaker on stage and now all of a sudden you have to adapt to what the lifestyle looks like for you, and how we can really be intentional. So it's not necessarily about where we want to be and, being disappointed that things haven't gone exactly where we want to go, but making sure that it's like every day, right? Just taking one day at a time.
Absolutely. That's a great application for it. And, my mom died when I was young. And so I've always had this desire, a deep, profound desire to make sure that every day matters, that everything that I do is counting towards something. Not all people are wired that way, and I don't think that all people should be wired that way, but for me, that's helped ground me in this place of connecting anything I'm doing to something that really matters, that makes a difference. So whether I'm serving someone else in a very, hidden behind closed doors type way, like you're explaining, I homeschooled my kids for 18 years, and I'm so understand how hard it is for those of you that may be doing that right now. It challenges you on a level like, are we going to even survive each other this day, But I will say, like, you are raising your best friends. And like even just using that example, if you find yourself, having to school your kids right now, for example, what matters more than anything else is, and of course they have to learn the material that the school's giving them, but what matters even more than that is, are they experiencing this time with you in a way that at least on a subconscious level helps them understand what God is really like? What is he like as a teacher, for example? Well, he cares more about us than he cares about what he's trying to teach us. And the only reason he wants to teach us important things is because we're important to him. And so if that's where you find yourself, for example, right now, serving someone else in a hidden way like that, like teaching, you want to do it in a way that makes them feel loved and feel like they matter and they're important. That acclimates someone's heart towards the knowledge of God. I believe that we're all wired the same way. We all look at God through this lens of what we're going through, any given circumstance that we're going through, whether you are someone who's had a relationship with God for your whole life, he's good, but when you get a really good parking space, you feel a little more loved and seen by God. And when things go really horribly wrong, even if you're an atheist, who are you the most angry with? The God that you believe doesn't even exist, So our hearts tend to view God through our circumstances. And so what that means is that you can help produce circumstances in other people's lives that help acclimate their heart to the reality. There is a God. He's good. He cares, and he's caring for you right now through me. And so whether you're running a corporation and you have hundreds of employees underneath you, or like we're saying, you're home with your kids, or maybe you're at home totally alone. Maybe you're not married. Maybe you don't have kids, and you're looking for ways to express that. We want everything that we do to fall under that. I live to know the real him, to make the real him known, to learn to love and to learn to be loved. And I can say something more about the love part of it, but I'll let you jump
Yes,
in.
definitely. I mean, I love how we can, really relate it to whatever stage and whatever season we're in. Because that's one big lesson I had to learn with the Lord is seasons, that there are time and seasons for everything, just like nature. That sometimes we have a rest season, sometimes we have a busy season, but there is beauty in every season, right? We can learn something and we can serve. Like I've also found that sometimes when we feel frustrated that things aren't maybe going the way we had hoped or planned, that sometimes just flipping the script and starting to serve somebody else is actually a great way to start. So when you talk about the aspect of love, and especially those we talk about loving yourself, now I know many people have a problem with that. It's kind of hard, right? How do you sort of deal with that?
So that was a big one for me. And that's why when the Lord originally gave me this kind of core value to live by, he spoke to my heart very strongly about that. And he said, it's not just about you learning how to love others. Because I've heard someone say, when we stand before God one day, one of the things he would ask us, the equivalent of this, is, did you learn to love? But he makes it so clear that, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Well, if I don't know how to love myself well, or I don't know how to be loved, what do I have to really give away? And speaking of being a homeschool mom, I mean, if you're deficient, if your tank is empty yourself, they can try all they want to, but there's nothing coming out. It's like you have to stay full to have something to offer someone else. And God wants us to be actually overflowing. And I realized years back that I knew in my head that God loved me, but I had never really allowed that to truly penetrate my soul, where I walked around looking for proof constantly that I was accepted and that I was loved through everyone else but him. And if God is our creator, which I believe he is, then he alone can give us our value and our worth. He alone can answer that question deep in our core. And when something happens to us when we're really little, maybe when we're a baby, maybe when we're a little older, a toddler, or maybe when we're in our elementary years, we stop, we get uncomfortable when we are the center of attention or the object of affection. And when you look at a newborn baby, there is nothing in them that looks away when you lock eyes with a newborn baby. They let that adoration, that pure love that you feel from them, they just drink it in. There's nothing, there's no shame, there's no awkwardness. But somewhere along the way, we squirm under that attention. And I found that it's so important. The more I have people pulling on me, the more that others need me, the more I need to have time every day in some kind of capacity, whether it's while I'm literally sitting on the toilet or in the shower, or if I have extra time and I'm actually just spending some time with God. I put my Bible away, I put everything away, and I just sit and I practice being loved by him. And I let the fact that his gaze is on me really settle in on my heart. And I try not to squirm. I try not to be awkward. I try not to look away. I try not to feel like I have to offer him something back. I just practice being the object of his affection and just acknowledge it. Thank you that you love me, that you accept me just the way I am, that there are things you really like about me. And I don't have to change. I don't have to do anything different for you to give me what I'm longing for right now. And just that practice allows me to have something to give away to others.
So it's kind of like going from a performance mindset of, I've got to perform, I've got to do, because this is something the Lord dealt with me. He says, listen, you're called a human being, not a human doing, for a reason. So you need to learn to be. And for many of us who are doers and kind of always feel like we have to be being active at something, being still and being at rest can feel really uncomfortable. But it's a practice, right? Like it's a muscle you got to develop. It doesn't happen overnight. Like maybe what would you say is practical elements? Like, say, maybe take a walk outside, maybe even find, like, sometimes setting a timer on my phone and say, for the next 5 minutes, you're not going to let anything distract you to this time, even though it's 5 minutes. And it's amazing how quickly our minds will wander. So would you say it's kind of like just a practiced, I don't know, I hate to use the word meditation, because the New Age world is somehow twisted what God actually intended for us, is that meditating on his word and thinking about it. What kind of like practical aspects have you used to really focus yourself on that?
Absolutely. I think for me, I've just always tended towards being a really busy person. So it's very hard for me to sit still and do nothing. Even things I love to do, I have a hard time making time for. Just and I'm working on that. We're working on that. But the way I like practically is when I start feeling low, and I can tell when I am like running out of patience for others or myself, or I'm stressed and I'm not operating from a place of strength and rest, then that's my signal. Okay, my tank is getting a little low and I need to go fill up. And sometimes even in those moments, you don't have time to get still, or you're not in a place where you can get still. And those are great ideas, what you just said. But if you're at a time or a place, and again, we want to take skills with us. Right now, we have a lot of time. If you're still in quarantine, I don't know if we will be or not when this is seen, but I know things are going to be busier than ever when we can finally get out of our homes. And so for me, I love to kind of look for expressions of God's love for me through things around me. And I call them kind of like love letters from God, you know, whether it's literally just noticing a billboard that, you know, was just a word that I had just been thinking of. I'm like, okay, God, I see you. That was good. That was a love note from you. Or, you know, someone just pays me a compliment. I'm like, God, ultimately, all good comes from you. And so I just hear your heart coming through that person for me. Thank you for giving me that today. I let your love hit its mark in me. I don't think, even if we found our exact purpose and we knew that we were fulfilling it every moment of every day, there's nothing more tragic than love that's given that's not received. Love that's seeking out a specific person and a specific heart that doesn't let it in. And this was meant to be a love affair with God. Life was meant to be a love affair with our Creator. And in our purpose and in our achieving and getting things done, even good things and kingdom things that we're partnering with God in, it's so important that we not miss that love affair with Him, and that back and forth of giving love, being a conduit for His love to others, but also letting His love hit its mark in our heart. So just being conscious of it, I think more than anything, just noticing it around you. Like, if God is God, then He's everywhere and He can speak through anything and anyone. And we want to be able to recognize it when we feel it, when we see it, and let it hit its mark.
I think that's what the beauty of the time that we're in is that, you know, I say, hashtag the rat race has been cancelled. I'm like, yay, finally, the first time in our generation, I think, that we've actually been allowed to take a pause, like to press that reset button. And I think it's great because the world has been running at such a heavy pace that we're rushing by on the highway at such a high speed that we haven't been able to see the billboards or see the roses or see the nice things if we're so focused on our destination. That I think it's grace from God that we can take this time, no matter what it looks like. For some people I'm speaking to, they're actually busier now than they've ever been, because they feel like they're actioning things to be ready for when, you know, things shift again. But I think that's what I'm hearing is the most important thing is the intentionality, right? Just being more aware and being intentional of what I'm going to be doing today. Okay, like what's for today? If you can't think 3 months, 9 months, a year ahead, just think what's for today, right? Taking each step and one little thing at a time. And
is what I'm doing helping promote the knowledge of God in the earth? And is it allowing me to grow in my knowledge of God? Is it allowing me to understand how loved I am, or is it helping someone else understand how loved they are? It's just, to me, that's what it means to live intentional. Is it fitting in any given moment, one of those four areas? And it's just been a tool that I've used.
Well, I think it's great. And I love how you're able to say, you're taking that understanding, and it's like you can't pour from an empty cup, right? We have to fill ourselves. Like, we get to this stage, and I say even practically like during this whole cleanup, I've been cleaning my house, like lice broke out, and then I found a new mess and I totally flipped. And my husband looks at me and he says, "You go to your room and go take a nap. You need to find yourself." So even he knows there's no point in arguing with me if I'm having a little meltdown and everything's falling apart. And he's like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. And he's like, "Okay, just step away. Let's take your finger out of the electrical socket. You don't have to keep hurting yourself. Go and do something that's good for you." No matter what that looks like. Some people, it's taking a walk. Sometimes it's listening to music. For me, resets are nap time for me. I just need to lay down and whether it's 10 or 15 minutes, kind of just reset the brain. And we have this opportunity to try things that, maybe we've always put on the shelf. Like, I'm too busy for this. I don't think we can use that excuse anymore, too busy, right? Because we make time for things that are important to us. So I'm actually excited for what God's going to do in this new season. And I think, the tips you offered are really great and really encouraging to just being intentional about every little thing, because every little thing counts, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would you say if you had to sort of wrap it up in a one thing and you want people to remember? What would you say for this coming season, and what you and your husband feel God's doing? What would be some great advice?
Well, clearly we are you used the word reset. We are in a reset right now. And I believe God is very intentional. And because we're made in his image, we have the opportunity to be intentional back with him. And I would just challenge everyone to, even if you already know what you're doing is what you were created to do in this season for yourself, remind yourself of the bigger picture, the context. God's so good at doing more than one thing at a time. And he's all about us, and he's all about the world at the same time. And so he can set us in positions where we're fulfilling what we were individually created and wired to do. And at the same time, use that for the sake of his kingdom and the earth. And his kingdom is just his better ways of doing things. It's his solutions. I think as we come out of this reset, we're going to be seeing that we're needed more than ever. I think there's a lot happening behind the scenes right now where evil is becoming more clear and good is becoming more clear. And we can partner with evil or we can partner with good. And God is inviting every one of us to be part of an expression of his goodness to mankind and his solutions in all the areas of culture that we're passionate about, that we care about. Again, while we are fulfilling our individual unique callings. So that's how I would wrap it up.
And I think it's beautiful. I think it's like a kaleidoscope. If you see how a kaleidoscope moves and everything fits together and everyone has their part to play. And that's what I feel so excited about, is that even if it's something that you felt that God's been laying on your heart for a while, and maybe you haven't ignored it, or you've just tried something and maybe you put it aside, or you feel like there's something you called to do. I think now is a perfect time to really find that and to press in and to really know that, as you said, God's love for us is for us individually and corporately, it's amazing if you think about how the pieces fit together. He's like how he looks at things, right? I'm so glad that's not my job. That's way too much work for me. So it's just exciting, even for my own life. I look back and I think, how was that relevant? But God in his graciousness has the whole picture. So we just need to trust him with every little step. So I think that's exciting. But you guys have some great resources. So share with everybody, what's the best place I can find you online and all the resources that you guys offer?
Well, our website, we have two websites. One is restore7.org. That's the name of our ministry, restore7, the number 7.org. And we also have something that we've launched called Rise, Reformers Influencing Society Every Day. And soon we'll be launching an app that is an international app that will allow Christian reformers who know that they're called to impact culture to connect with each other. And there's nothing like it out there. It's a state-of-the-art app. Super excited about it. And so we have a website called Rise, RISE, and then the number 7.org, rise7.org. And you find out all about that particular thing that we're launching as a gift to the body of Christ soon. And you'll find out all the information on there. Our newest book is called Rise, a Reformer's Handbook for the Seven Mountains. And that's one that Johnny and I co-authored together. And we just took everything that we've ever written, taught, researched about cultural influence and what it means to show up in your area of culture and really make a difference. We took it and we condensed it all into one book. And then we used that book and created a script for an online video course. So you can either go through it as a video course or you can go through it as a book. And again, all that information is on our website.
That's great. I love these resources that you guys put together. As I said, make sure to connect with Elizabeth and all her stuff. And if you're watching this in the Summit dashboard, you'll notice below there are some links. So make sure to click on that and connect with her and let her know that you heard and saw her on the summit. We love to connect our audience with our guests, and just the impact that's going to come from it. I know it's going to be amazing, and equipping, and the work that you and your husband do is just fabulous. So I've got to say thank you so much for that. So, and I must say, if you've enjoyed what Elizabeth had to say today, make sure to share it with your friends. I'm sure you know somebody who really needs to hear these words of encouragement. So go and make sure you do that today. And if you want more free resources that are only available to those who are on our summit list, go to mimikacooney.com and click on the summit tab. We will have those resources because our speakers are offering freebies and giveaways and all sorts of great goodies. So you've got time on your hands now. You can go ahead and do all of that. So I'm going to say thanks again, Elizabeth. I so appreciate you making time in your nice little pretty getaway in the Georgian mountains, right? You enjoying that time?
We are. It's been good to have our family near us.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you fitting us in. And thanks again, everyone. Till next time. Bye.
If you want more free resources that we only share with our newsletter community, go to mimikacooney.com and sign up today. We have great resources like ebooks, inspirational screensavers, printables, and exclusive access to our community.